Now, a couple of other things we wanted to touch on, tips and tricks. So customers that have the dynamic contract builder, so that's a lot of our enterprise customers, so that's where you don't load up your contract using the load your own process. We've gone and used our dynamic contract builder features to automatically build the contract for you. One of the things that my guys get often is support calls from an HR advisor, quick, urgent, we need to get this offer out, but something's changed within their contract. And so until the dynamic contract builder is updated, potentially the contracts aren't reflecting the most up-to-date and accurate information. So one of the things that we suggest you do, and if it isn't turned on in your system and you are an enterprise customer, let us know and we'll turn it on, is using the load your own feature. So what you can do is if you're a dynamic contractor customer, when the terms of the contract change and you need to get an urgent offer out, you can always load your own contract. So what that means is you can just replace the contract that's automatically generated by HROnboard with one that's more specific. Often we see customers needing to do this for executive contracts or certain areas of the business where these employees always fall outside of the norm. Executive contracts are the classic case that we often see when Michelle does catch-ups with customers and says, how are you going? Are you doing all your offers through HROnboard? Often what comes back is, no, all of them except this group of people. Loading your own contract in that scenario is a brilliant scenario because it means they still get the rest of the benefits. It's just because that contract's slightly different. And this allows you to really respond to changes without having to wait for the support team. And while they try and get things done as quickly as possible, often you just can't wait and you need to get that offer out. Now, the other thing I wanted to sort of touch on is user management, customizing your roles, and so forth. Just as a reminder to everybody, you all have access to manage your own users, create users, turn off users, change the roles that users have, all within the system. So anybody that's got the administrator role within your environment can do that. It also means that you can customize the permissions on the roles. So if you log into your HROnboard environment now, you probably will notice that you don't have access to the withdrawn status or the withdrawn option under the tools menu. That's because, as Michelle mentioned, we're releasing a lot of features in a disabled state. That way it limits the change impact to our users and all of your users, so they're not continually seeing things changed. And then when you're ready to start using those features, you can opt into them. So turning on the withdrawn permission is something that can be done within the permissions area of the roles. The other thing you can do is you can change the roles. We ship your environment with default roles. So they're usually an offer administrator, an HR role, a payroll role, and reviewer roles. And we've given them default permissions, which is what we see makes most sense from our side of things. But that doesn't mean you need to keep those roles. You can go and customize them, change them. You can even create new roles and change the permissions. And that allows you to then modify the permissions and how HROnboard works to suit your business processes. The other big thing to talk about is record visibility. We often get support calls, someone calls up and goes, I can't see Ben's offer, or Mary can't see Ben's offer. And that's often because of visibility. And so we wanted to talk through visibility. So basically, HROnboard allows you to restrict who sees an offer by a couple of factors. There is a factor of if you're the owner of the offer, so the offer creator, you get to always see that offer. If you're a reviewer of an offer, you only get to see that offer while it's in the review stage. And then we can then create visibility around your companies and locations. So if you run multiple entities and have different hiring teams in different companies, in inverted commas, you can restrict access to those. Or if you have decentralized recruiting across lots of locations within a single entity, you can then have various visibility set up by location as well. So this allows you to, depending on your organisation's hiring process and management processes, divvy up the various visibility of your offer records based on a number of different factors. Certainly a lot of our customers have this, everybody can see everything because they're small hiring teams, and that's great. We support that as well. And then we have organisations that have it more decentralised. The other little tip around sort of these companies and locations and record visibility is within your user profile, the one that you go in when you first log in. You can change your password, update your contact email addresses and your phone numbers. You can also set default companies and locations. So if you're hiring into the same, if you've got multiple companies and locations, but you always, as a person, you're always hiring into the same company or location, you can set defaults there.